Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Generation 180 National Team Meeting today. This is Tish Tablan, the National Outreach Director at Generation 180. This is a special meeting today since we have our two newest teams in New York City and Washington, D.C. joining this monthly meeting for the first time as a group. So welcome to our new volunteer teams joining us from New York City and Washington, D.C. I would also like to welcome Generation 180's new national organizer, Laura Allen, who joined the staff just a few short weeks ago. So Laura will be focusing on starting new action teams and supporting the existing Generation 180 teams around the country. Welcome, Laura. And I'd also like to welcome anyone else who has joined us today, potentially for the first time, and is listening in to learn more about what Generation 180 is all about. Generation 180 is a nonprofit organization committed to accelerating a cultural shift in energy awareness and clean energy adoption in households and communities throughout the country. We are doing this through the nationwide network of volunteer teams we are forming to take local action. During our national team meetings, each action team gathers locally for the meeting, and the meeting starts with all of us connecting through this interactive video conference call. During the conference call, our action teams learn from guest speakers and experts in clean energy. We share grassroots victories and build skills to become effective clean energy advocates and community leaders. After the conference call is over, the teams will continue their local meetings in person to take action together and continue planning their local campaigns. Generation 180's national team meetings are regularly held on the second Sunday of each month at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you can't join your team in person, you can still join in virtually by visiting our website, generation180.org/volunteer to register. So if you make the date for the national team meeting, a recording will be made available online. And you can also find links to the recordings of our previous guest speakers and conference calls on our website at generation180.org/volunteer. For each national meeting, we share a grassroots victory from one of our teams in order to recognize and celebrate successes of our hardworking volunteers and to share insights and lessons learned with all of our nationwide teams. Today, we will be hearing more about the fantastic progress being made by our Charlottesville team in their Solar Schools campaign. So since the Charlottesville team was launched a short 6 months ago, the team has already had 3 meetings with local school board members and district officials. The team is gearing up to build community-wide support for a school board resolution that will affirm the district's commitment to clean energy. And the team will be preparing students over the summer to present the resolution at a school board meeting at the beginning of the school year. So I will now bring on Annabella Korbatov, one of our awesome Charlottesville team leaders, to tell you more.
Great.
Thank you, Annabella.
Oh, no problem. I'm actually not in Charlottesville at the moment. I'm in New Mexico, but I'm glad I can join remotely. And I just wanted to share our most recent grassroots victory. On May 21st last month, we had our second meeting with the Albemarle County Schools District leadership. That's the county that Charlottesville is in or next to. We met with the COO and the Deputy Director of the Albemarle County Public Schools, and who helped get solar on 6 schools in the district. Tish, myself, Susan, and John Haydock, another volunteer on the Charlottesville team, we all proposed a potential climate action resolution to be adopted by the district, which states their commitment to energy efficiency and clean energy. And this resolution was based on a similar resolution passed by the County Board of Supervisors last fall. And I'm glad to report it was a really productive conversation, and we received really positive feedback from them. They embraced the content of our proposed resolution, and they seem to only have a few minor changes to make to the wording of it. We also spent the rest of the meeting discussing the available financing options for expanding Albemarle County Public Schools solar installations, either through a PPA or ownership model, and also the ways in which Generation 180 could help generate community support and resources for that process. And the most rewarding part of the meeting was that the COO, Dean Tisdat, he acknowledged our advocacy work And he actually thanked Generation 180 and its volunteers for our efforts to support the county schools and to work with the staff and administration in a collaborative way. And it was really great for me to hear such an acknowledgement of our hard work and to know that it's making a difference. And it was re-energizing to hear that because we've been plugging away at this for a while. And it was really gratifying to hear that what we're doing is making a difference, and it's also being appreciated, and that we're doing it in the right way, in a way that feels collaborative and supportive. And I'm also excited that we have a tangible goal to work towards, and which is working on a petition. And I look forward to working with high school students this summer to present the resolution to the school board and to do more grassroots outreach to get this resolution past the finish line. So that grassroots outreach might take the form of like an online petition, or just reaching out to students and parents and community members to get more support and information out about this resolution that we're going to present to the school board.
Thank you, Annabella, for sharing your team's recent success with everyone else. And I'm also so happy that the COO of Albemarle County School District acknowledged the contributions and professionalism of the Charlottesville team. This is a fantastic grassroots victory to share with the group today. And I also want to recognize the great work of our new action teams in DC and New York City, as they're beginning to reach out to school and district leaders to facilitate a Solar Schools campaign in their communities. The DC teams recently met with Kathy Lynn, the energy manager of Arlington Schools, and one of our guest speakers for the webinar last February. And the New York City team has been researching the energy landscape in the surrounding school districts and beginning to reach out to local school district leaders. So I know you all will continue to build upon this great momentum, and I look forward to hearing about your grassroots victories in the upcoming months. So next I will bring on our guest speaker, Susan Klees, to talk with you all about our Keep It Cool campaign and how you can get involved. Before I bring her on, I will ask you to have your smartphones ready, but please keep them on silent. After her presentation, we will be using smartphones to try out pinning a store through the Facebook Messenger app. So if you don't already have the Facebook Messenger app downloaded, please quietly take a moment to do that now before she begins. Susan is the director of Generation 180's Keep It Cool campaign. Susan has more than 20 years of experience managing communications, media relations, and public education campaigns for a range of companies and nonprofits. She's passionate about engaging and activating consumers to make changes that are good for their health, their communities, and our environment. So I'm excited for you to learn more about the Keep It Cool campaign that you'll be participating in throughout the summer. And I do want to reinforce to our action teams that while we are adding a new campaign activity for you this summer, we will continue our ongoing work on our Solar Schools campaigns. So before I hand it over to Susan, I also want to note that all attendees will stay on mute during the presentation. And if you have a question, please type your question into the question box in your control panel, and you can do that at any time during the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I will call on each team for questions and also call on any others who have submitted questions in their control panel. So Susan, thank you for joining us today, and I will now pass the screen over to you.
Thank you, Tish. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. So we're going to talk about an exciting campaign that we are doing for the second year this year called Keep It Cool. And Keep It Cool is a national campaign that we're doing to empower consumers to help stop energy waste caused by doors being open in stores while the air conditioning is running. So you may say to yourself, well, that seems pretty minor, but actually if each individual store's actions do have an impact, and they roll up to have even greater impact. So every store with an open door wastes about 4,200 kilowatts of electricity over the summer. And that's the same amount of pollution that's generated, 2.2 tons of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. It's the same amount of pollution generated by a semi-truck driving from New York all the way to Miami. So that's a lot of pollution. And our goal is to educate stores and consumers about this, get stores to change their behavior, but also really to use this as an example to start a larger conversation in communities across the country. Our message also is to make consumers and retailers aware of energy, and we call this energy awareness, so that people understand how energy is produced, and they consume it responsibly. And we know from research that we did ourselves, actually, we did an online survey of 1,000 millennials that 62% of them think that having stores' doors propped open is wasteful. And also 25% are less likely to shop at retailers that leave their doors open. So we do think that this is important, and we hope by educating consumers and retailers that they'll change their practices. As a matter of fact, the city of New York a few years ago passed a law making it illegal for retailers to prop open their doors. But if you look at our Keep It Cool map, you'll still see last summer a very loyal user of Keep It Cool tagged several stores in New York that were open. So it is indeed a national issue, and we'd like to see it solved. And even the New York team, those members that are on this call today, even if it is illegal in New York, as I said, it's still being practiced. So we think there's lots of opportunity for you to educate consumers and retailers in getting them to close their doors. And we believe that this practice is good for business, the community, and the environment. So we think it's a win-win for everybody. And I talked about the impact of an individual store door being open, putting out about 2 tons of pollutants. If we did some calculations showing that if all the stores that kept their doors propped open in the summer closed their doors, it would save the same amount of carbon dioxide as cars driving 830 million miles. So that, we believe, does have a big impact. So it's a small behavior that we think is easy to change, uses it an opportunity to educate and have a cumulative impact on the environment. So the campaign is really easy and interactive. All you do is you spot stores in your community with open or closed doors. You send us a pinned location via Facebook Messenger, telling us whether the store's doors are open or closed. And we'll walk through this process in a few minutes, so you'll get a better sense of how that works. But for each store message that's pinned, each store that's pinned, it then falls onto a national map. And you'll see here a picture of the map. The green pins are for stores with their doors closed, good behavior. The yellow pins are for stores that leave their doors open, and the blue pins are for stores that choose to partner with us. So everything that every consumer does lands on this campaign map. And as I said, we started the campaign last year. We got lots of publicity. Here's some examples. We got national television coverage in markets around the country. We got coverage in news media, in blogs. We also did a lot of social media promotion, using all kinds of different creative ways to reach out to people. We also partnered with a lot of organizations, from national groups like Protect Our Winters and the Citizens Climate Lobby, to local groups like Charleston Good or the Texas Solar Energy Society. And through that, we generated hundreds of pins in our maps last year. You'll see a lot on the East Coast and a lot in the Texas area. We had more than 300 pins. We had 60,000 people visit the website. We had 10,000 Facebook followers that were generated from this. And Generation 180 was a real new organization at that time. So Keep It Cool literally put us on the map. So what we're looking to do this year, and the reason why we're having this conversation today, is we would love to work with our teams to help us spread our reach this year, to go deeper and broader. And another change that's exciting for this year is that we've got 2 cities that are going to work with us to use the Keep It Cool campaign locally. So we're working with the city of Santa Cruz and St. Louis and their city sustainability officers. We're collaborating with them to train local ambassadors to spread the word. They're going door to door. They've given presentations to business groups. They've developed localized materials that are co-branded with us, social media outreach. And also, when a store is tagged in Santa Cruz or St. Louis, we have the chat bot that's programmed by us in Facebook Messenger actually is specific to those cities and acknowledges their city, and the message comes from the city. So we think that'll be great. So we're going to now start to talk a bit about pinning stores in your community and how that works. And I'm going to show you a very short 1-minute video, and then we can walk through it as a team. So the video, by the way, doesn't have any audio, so you'll see it's got captions on the bottom, so you can just follow along for a moment. Okay, great. So now we're going to try this ourselves. So I was gonna say I might actually put on my camera for a second so you all can actually see me. I've been this disembodied voice, and I'll hold up my phone because I thought that might help. So let's see if I put on my camera. Okay, can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So let's try this. Why don't you grab your phone? I have my phone right there.
I think I have a thing on my phone.
And you'll go to the Facebook Messenger app. You can open the app. Okay, so what you want to do is, the first thing you want to do is, in the top search bar, is to search for Generation 180.
I think I've already done that.
And if you've already done it, it pops up pretty easily.
We're not muted.
So find Generation 180. Okay. Now what you want to do is, if you look down, you've got a menu of things you can do. And you should be able to send a location. And then you should have a few locations pop up. By the way, you have to be pretty near the location in order to tag it. So you should find several shops or businesses nearby. And you can pick one of those. So you pick that location and you hit send. Now the chat box is going to open up and it's going to ask you if the business has a door that's open or closed. So why don't you choose for right now, say closed. And then it'll ask you if you want to submit it. And you can say yes. And then you should have a message that says if it's a that we've received your submission. And then it should come up saying, great to hear, we've dropped a green pin on our campaign map, representing retailers who are energy aware. We'll send an invitation to join Keep It Cool. So it should look kind of like that. I'm not sure if you all can see that.
So Susan, I actually went ahead and muted everyone so that if people are sort of having a discussion in the room, we don't have to have it as a group. So one quick question I had was, do you want them to go ahead and actually pin a store even though we're not in front of the store with full confidence of if the door is open or closed right now?
I think that's okay because we'll have, we have kind of some back end work that we do to kind of push that through and have that appear on the map, so that's fine. We'll just know that those are from the test.
Okay, great. So what I'll do right now is I'll just go team by team and just check in with you all and see if I just get a thumbs up from the team leader that if you have any questions or feedback, that might be easier and better for the audio. So Ivy, I'll start with you in the New York team. How'd it go in your room?
It worked.
Okay, great. Everyone's got it down? Fabulous. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you again. Liz, how's my DC team looking?
Hi, we're good. We all tried it and it worked.
Okay, fabulous. And Nate, how's it looking in the Charlottesville room?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
Jenny, you feel good?
we're good.
Yeah.
Eric and I got it for the first time.
Nailing it.
It's also worth pointing out that you can share from this page as well to make a post.
Fabulous. Thank you for reminding us that.
Yeah. So that's great. Thanks, Tish. So now we've pinned a store whose door is closed. Now we can practice pinning a store with an open door. So in order to do that is you should have a message that comes up that, send another location. And if so, you can go through the same step that you did before. So hit send another location, share another location, find another location that you want to label with an open door. And then you should get a question. So then it'll say, does the business have its door open or closed? So you can say open. Then it will ask if the business is a restaurant. I think for now, I want you to say no. It will ask, are you sure the business has its air conditioning on? And for that, you can say, I'm sure. And then it'll say, would you like to submit this? And you can say yes. And then you should have a message, just like we did last time, but this is a little different. Thanks for sharing your submission. We're going to contact the retailer with a friendly reminder. They get 3 days to respond. And then if they don't, then they get a yellow pin on the map. And we hope that then that they'll get in touch with us and they'll close their door. And then you'll see it says share the campaign. So you do have, as someone brought up, you can hit share the campaign, and you'll have a chance to send a message to other people on Facebook to share it. So Tish, why don't you go around again? That kind of completes my little training session. So why don't you go on and see if anyone has any questions. Thanks.
Sure. I actually thought of a question for the group, and maybe others had this, but I listened to your restaurant question, and so we said no, it's not a restaurant, but what would happen if you said yes, it's a restaurant?
Then a message would come up that, I don't remember the exact wording, but basically for this campaign, we're not tagging restaurants with their doors open because sometimes they have outside patios and there's issues like that. So we decided not to target restaurants for this campaign.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so I'll go around the horn one more time with each team.
Don't care. Yeah, they wouldn't have.
That piece
they don't care about. They know their costs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're being muted, or not muted.
I just unmuted you all on New York team. Had any questions or feedback over there?
You can say it yourself. Yeah, I think the store, I think this is great. I love it. Although I don't like using Facebook Messenger. But I think that the stores, they know their costs. I think if we don't, the reason they're leaving it open is because I think it's going to, they think it's going to bring them more business. I think we have to address, like, I think we have to address that when you guys speak to them. So I guess it's not on, yeah, we can still use it without doing this. But we didn't mention how, I think they're going to think, well, yeah, but we make more money this way.
Yes, I want to address that in a couple ways. First of all, we did do research, and there is no research showing that having doors open increases sales. So we know that, even if the stores think otherwise. And part of our message as an organization and through the Keep It Cool campaign is that there's really a bigger purpose here, and that we really need to, in addition to consumers being good citizens, community citizens, that we want stores to be good community citizens too. So, and the message is, if you look at the research that we did showing that, 25 or even up to 30% of consumers will think twice about visiting stores that waste energy in this way. That's kind of part of the message we want to get to them. So it's really, there's no evidence that having a door open does increase sales, and also that, it's time to start to listen to consumers and to be good corporate citizens. And we're going to talk in a few moments about maybe going in and having dialogue with stores, and we can go over that a bit. I think one of the pluses of Keep It Cool the way it was designed is that it's designed so you can discuss this kind of anonymously with the stores and make them aware of it. So, it's really part of that awareness that we want to build, but we'll talk in a few moments about opportunities you might have to actually engage in dialogue with people in stores.
Okay, great. Thank you, Josh, for that question. And definitely a common thinking that stores have, and something that has been a common response from stores that we've contacted through this campaign. So thank you for flagging that for everyone. New York team, any other questions or comments?
No.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, DC team, any questions or comments?
No, I'm over here. No, we're
Okay.
good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, how about the Charlottesville team? Any questions or comments?
This is Jenny. I just wondered, when stores participate, is it ever possible to give them like a keep it cool sign in their door or something that might stick? I don't know. I wondered if people actually had this on their door, if it would trigger conversation or be of any value to them.
Yes, as a matter of fact, you're in our office here, but after we get off the phone, we can show you, we have Keep It Cool decals that we're asking stores that are partners to put on, and that's part of the materials we will be distributing to you. And I think Nate is coming in here. Hold on. I'm about to have a visual aid. It's backwards because it, oh, but it looks forward to me. I don't know if it looks forward to you. So this is the sticker that we give to stores that want to partner with us. So great question, great idea. There we go.
Nice. Cool.
So good question. Thank you.
Yes, and each of the team leaders in Charlottesville, you're in our office, so you already have them in front of you. But the New York team and DC team already received some flyers and stickers. So that's going to be the next thing we talk about, is how you as teams will get involved, and you have some live stickers in hand and flyers that address that keeping the door open question. Does it help or hurt business? So that's all materials we have covered, and we're about to cover next. I do want to pause, and I know we have a few other callers who are calling in on their own. Annabella, Charles, Matthew. If you all have any questions or comments, I can quickly unmute each of you and see if anyone else has anything to add. Okay, Annabella, any questions or comments?
Hi there.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a quick question. For those of us traveling during the summer, who do we tag stores and businesses in areas where there aren't Gen 180 teams? Maybe this has already been covered, but I know I'll be traveling a bit this summer and in LA and on the West Coast where there might not be a Gen 180 team yet. I just wanted to know if we could contribute while we're traveling.
Great question. Absolutely. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. You can do Keep It Cool anywhere. So please, we hope that you will travel and tag stores all around the country. That would be fabulous. And the Keep It Cool campaign is not just for our team members. So we're trying to reach people all around the country, getting them to tag stores in their communities. So definitely it's mobile. As long as you've got wherever this goes and you go, you can tag stores.
Great. Thank you, Susan.
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Annabella. Charles or Matthew, any questions or comments before we move forward?
I'm all set.
Okay, thanks, Charles.
Hey, this is Matthew, and just wanted to add a very quick comment. I think the underlying common denominator to everything that we're doing and everything that we're talking about is energy awareness. But you know, how are we going to do that? Are we just going to go door to door or talk to our friends? I think this is a wonderful program to initiate a dialogue. That even if you go to a store where they're like, no, we're going to leave the doors open, it's good for business. At least it's an issue that's on their radar. At least it's something they have to explain to their staff who might not agree with them. At least it starts a dialogue of energy aware.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's why I talked about how part of this campaign is getting stores to close their doors and to start a dialogue. And in a few moments, I'm going to talk about some other things that we're doing for the campaign that indeed are meant to help make consumers and retailers energy aware, start that dialogue, continue that dialogue. And I should add that last summer, we did reach out to retailers. I've spoken to sustainability people at some stores, some national stores, like beauty chains like Ulta, Lush, Payless Shoes. So they are starting to have that dialogue, and we hope to increase it and accelerate it.
Great, thank you for your comments, Matthew. So I'll go ahead and mute everyone, and Susan, I'll hand the mic back to you and let you keep going.
Great, thank you. So now we want to talk about the teams and what you all can do. We would love to have you get together. We think it'd be a great group activity get together, go to a local shopping area outdoors, and arrange to go out and pin some stores and hand out flyers, which we'll talk about in a minute. And as was raised earlier, I think by Annabella, you definitely are welcome, and we encourage you to pin stores while you're traveling. So you've each got a team goal that I think Tish is going to go over more in detail later, but for the number of stores that you pin by July 31st, and the winning team gets a free lunch or dinner of choice brought to an upcoming meeting courtesy of Generation 180. So we hope that you all will frantically pin, and there'll be a heated contest to see who gets the free food.
Well, actually, to clarify, each team has the opportunity to win the dinner or lunch as long as you meet your goal.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes, since Charlottesville is a small town, is a little bit at a disadvantage to the big cities, we do have a different goal for Charlottesville.
So, so when you go out with your teams, you need to bring your smartphone and your positive attitude. The flyers that Tish spoke about have been sent to the team leaders, and the decals that I think I so deftly demonstrated earlier via my video camera. So we talked about the flyers. Let's talk about that for a moment. So Keep It Cool, we wanted it to be is kind of easy and unintimidated for everybody to use. So it's really set up to be anonymous. But as Generation 180 teams, you all might be more passionate about making stores aware of this behavior. Then we would welcome you to go and volunteer to go into stores and to really start a dialogue, or at least to give them information to the employees when you're shopping. So we've provided the team leaders with flyers about the benefits of closing store doors that you can give to the staff. You don't have to engage in a prolonged discussion with them, just hand them the flyer and make them aware that you're participating in Keep It Cool, and we can go from there. So if you look at this slide, I've got two slides, there's two scenarios. You can go in and talk to the store staff if the doors are closed or if the doors are open. So again, we don't want to have a long dialogue, but we think it's an opportunity to raise awareness and get people thinking. So I'll just go over this briefly, a proposed mini script. If you've got a store whose doors are closed and you want to go in and engage with them. So find a store employee, doesn't necessarily have to be a manager, but a store employee that's there that has a moment to speak with you. And you can, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm with a campaign called Keep It Cool. We're encouraging stores that run their air conditioning to close their doors to reduce energy waste. I noticed that your door is closed, and I pinned your store through for your energy saving behavior to be recognized on our Keep It Cool national map. So here's a flyer you can read to find out more about how you're helping save energy. And we'd be delighted for your store to show support for our mission by posting this decal on your front door or window. And you can find out more and sign up to be a partner at our website, www.keepitcool.org, and anybody that wants a decal, you can hand this to them. So again, short and sweet, you give them the information and have them think about it, and hopefully they'll want to engage. Then there might be a scenario that the doors are open. So again, go in, see if you can find a friendly employee face and introduce yourself and give them a flyer. You can say, hi, I'm with a campaign called Keep It Cool. We're encouraging stores that run their air conditioning to close their doors to reduce energy waste. I noticed that your door is open, and I pinned your store on our national campaign map. You can read this flyer to find out more about how open doors waste energy and contribute to pollution. I hope you can talk to your store management about closing your doors. So this gets back, by the way, to what the gentleman said earlier about just generating awareness. So here you're talking to an employee, and we're giving them permission to kind of learn about this and engage with their management about it. So I think that's nice. And as we know, for chains, a lot of these employees don't necessarily have a lot of power, but if we get enough employees who are passionate about this, they might bring it up the chain to their management. So you can tell the store, if you do indeed decide to keep your doors closed, then we can recognize your store for saving energy, and you can learn more at our website and keepitcool.org. So this is a real simple scenario that we've laid out for you to talk to the stores and kind of get them engaged and interested in the campaign. As we've said, we would welcome you pinning stores when you travel over the summer. on keepitcool.org, we have a rich resource of social media posts that you can post about it, the campaign, which would be great. We also have a letter to the editor for your community newspaper. Last year, the letter to the editors were submitted in several communities, including Princeton and Austin, Texas, and I think it was Lancaster, Pennsylvania, from consumers who found out about our campaign. They agreed with our message. They penned a letter to the editor and it was published. If you look here on the right, you'll see an actual blog post that was published on Today Show's family blog. And this is Michael. He lives in Princeton and he regularly pinned a lot of stores in Princeton, and he loved Keep It Cool. So there's definitely an opportunity to share your passion for having stores closing their doors, not only by tagging stores, sharing with your friends on social media, and writing to the to community newspapers. And one other initiative that we're starting this year that's new is a change.org petition. We've drafted a petition that's geared towards the National Retail Federation, asking the president to have his members consider adopting closed door policies. And what we want to do is we're going to promote the petition this summer. We'll be sending it to you later this month. We encourage you to look at the petition, to sign it, promote it via social media, because we hope to generate enough signatures to kind of demonstrate to retailers that, hey, this is something consumers do care about. It's an easy thing for us to change. It's an easy win. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll be sending you more information about the change.org petition later this month. So does anyone have any more questions?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do a round robin again. I think that's probably the best way to do it, to keep the audio clear. So again, I will start with my New York team. Any questions or comments about the team challenge portion or talking to stores?
We wanted to know a bit more about partner stores and whether they need to take any further action beyond just keeping their doors closed to qualify as a partner, and also if there's any incentive for them to do so.
That's a great question. Yes, there is some more they can do. If on our website, in addition to directing them to Keep It Cool, there's a section on there for retailers. And on there, we have a very brief, it's like one paragraph long commitment that we ask them to make to closing their doors. And then they're able to order more decals, and then we have a partner pin for them. So at this point, we also tell the stores that are partners with us that we will promote them via social media. So what's in it for them is not only knowing that they're initiating a good environmentally, energy friendly decision that helps consumers, but also we, Generation 180, will promote their good corporate citizenship on social media. And we also encourage them to promote their engagement as well. And we have an entire retailer toolkit that we send to any retailers that are interested in being partners that has more promotional material for them.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, great. Ivy, any other questions from your team?
I think we're good, thanks Tish.
Okay, thanks Ivy. Okay, how about my DC team? Any questions or comments?
Yeah, we were wondering if a store did want to partner for the Keep It Cool campaign, how do they initiate being a partner? Is that different? I mean, that's different than just pinning and having their doors closed, right?
Yes, and that's where there's the partner section on our website, which your retailer section, which you're welcome to look at to see. But there they opt in, they add their contact information, they can sign the closed door policy, and we will then reach out to them once they enter their contact information.
Okay, cool, thanks. I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Susan, once they do that, we will manually make theirs a blue pin that look different from the other pins, right? So it's not automatic. We have to receive that
Yes.
pledge from them, and then we make the pin blue manually.
Exactly. So we've got to engage in a bit of dialogue with them, and then we change the pin. And in Santa Cruz, where they have volunteers going all across the shopping districts, they've they've got a little bit of a different system where they're going door to door and they're asking them if they want to be partners. And if the store says yes, they want to be partners, then they're kind of signing them up through Santa Cruz, and then they're sending us the list, and we're creating partner pins for those stores. So, you know, there is a way if a team goes through a community and wants to collect the names and the contact information for stores that want to be partners, and then you want to aggregate that and send it to us, we can do it that way as well. So I think that's something that could be considered.
Okay, yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thanks, Susan. Okay, DC team, any other questions or comments?
No, I think we're okay, Tish. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Okay, Charlottesville team, any questions or comments?
I think
They
we're
can ask
good.
me in person. I'll go over there and answer their questions once I get off. They've got me in some room in the back of the office. I want to get out. Let me out. Let me out.
Nate, Jenny, are we all clear in the Charlottesville room? Can you hear us?
I think we are, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for sharing about the Keep It Cool campaign and helping us launch the Keep It Cool Team Challenge. I'm going to switch back to being the presenter, and I'm going to share with our teams a little more detail about the Team Challenge and what each group's goals will be for this summer.
Great. Thanks, Tish.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Okay, well, we're very excited to launch our Keep It Cool Team Challenge this summer. And so you will have 7 weeks to meet your team goal. And this is an additional challenge that we are putting out to our teams on top of our ongoing Solar Schools work. So that's why we're happy to recognize your contributions and success in meeting your team goal with a free lunch or dinner of your choice at an upcoming meeting. So again, as long as your team meets your goal by July 31st, then I'll work with the team leaders to decide which meeting you'd like to have lunch or dinner delivered to your meeting. And I have full confidence that each team will easily meet and exceed these goals and win a free meal for your group. So we are encouraging each team to make this opportunity a social event, and you can get together in a more relaxed atmosphere. So we're encouraging you to find a time when you can get together as a large group or smaller groups for lunch, coffee, or drinks, and then walk around and help fill out our Keep It Cool map together. So your team leaders should already have the flyers and stickers in hand to pass out to your group. And then after we end the conference call, your team will work on a plan for meeting your team's goals and hopefully schedule a time for your whole team or small groups within your team to get together and participate in the campaign as a group. So last week, we had a call with our team leaders to try to set some goals in advance for our teams. And so I'll go over the goals for each team and any suggestions for where you might go pinning based on what's already pinned in your city. So here, the New York team, we set a goal for 60 new pins. That's stores with doors open or closed. So really, you can pin any store that you walk by and then just label if the door is open or closed. And have that done by July 31st. And so you can see here, most of the pins right now are in the Midtown area. So there's definitely a lot of room to grow and just pin stores wherever you are. So I am very interested to see how many stores are still leaving the door open with air conditioning running in New York City, because the city's already set a great example for other communities by making it against the law. So this would be a great check to see, how many stores are still, do you still have this habit of leaving the door open even if it's against the law? So while we are kind of giving you a way to pin stores anonymously, give you some tools if you want to engage with stores in a positive way by encouraging them to join our campaign. There is also an option to fill out an online form that any citizen can fill out if you want to formally report stores that are breaking this law. I mean, that is definitely not the route we are emphasizing, but I just want to let you know that is an option if that's something you want to look into. I personally really like our positive approach to encourage people to save money and save energy by joining our campaign. And that's the idea of the decals, is that they can kind of proudly display that, let's say, even if their neighboring stores are leaving their doors open, that they are being conscious of energy waste. So as your team goes out, and especially in New York City, goes out to plan where to go pin stores after we hang up on the conference call, for New York City, it might make sense for you to coordinate groups by geography, and maybe you can get together in smaller groups based on what borough you live in, or people that live closer together might be able to meet together. And I know, Keith already told me that he is setting an example, and he made it a personal goal to maybe pin up to 50 stores, that he's going to go out and do some pinning on his own, and while he's either commuting or just walking around the city. I mean, I think in such a walkable city like New York City, that's pretty easy to do. So I think if all of you did something similar while you're walking around town, I think the team could easily more than double this goal that we set here. So I'll go ahead and just unmute the New York team and see if you have any questions or comments about your goal or about the map that I'm showing for New York City.
First hour is about our
Keep it cool.
national thing.
Do you want to wait?
But then
We're unmuted right now, so if you want to talk to them.
Tish, we had another. This is Keith in New York City. We had another question.
Yeah.
It was actually unrelated to the Keep It Cool campaign. Should we wait or can we ask it now?
Go ahead.
It's kind of related to the. Hi. So I'm one of the organizer for the Future of Driverless City event Summer Talk Series. So we have an event on the last Thursday of every month, and it's going to be here about 2 blocks away at Pace University. So I thought that maybe to have us here from Generation 180 to be there as well, have a table there, and then we can actually capture more pins along the street where Seidenberg School on William Street, to have more pins. So it's kind of related directly to the current campaign, so we can talk about that. But at the same time, we could talk about the topic on the autonomous car this month is shared electric, which is, it's directly related to us because that's part of our initiative as well, to talk about, electric vehicle stuff. So I wasn't sure if there's a point person that we can connect as well to invite to the event that can talk to, I don't know.
Well, thank you for bringing both those ideas up. So first, I love the idea of having this campaign cross over with any local events you're already doing, and using that as a way to pin stores. So I love that idea. New York team, I'm happy to stay on the line with you after we hang up the call and brainstorm that out. And then as far as having, I can be a point of contact if you have another event you'd like Generation 180 support, or even if it's a local event, it could be one of the team members in the room with you. Depending on what you're interested in and how you're interested in engaging Generation 180. So I think there are a couple of great options we can pursue after the webinar. But thank you for bringing up the idea of if there are any summertime events where this could be an opportunity to table and spread the word. We can definitely send out some materials to help you table and have a setup for that kind of event. So thank you for that idea.
That's it. Thanks, Trish.
Okay, thanks, Ivy. Oh, and I guess I'll just kind of throw it out there that if New York team, if you're already overachieving, do you want to bump up your goal? I think you can easily hit 60. Any thoughts on 60 pins in 7 weeks as a goal for your team?
Yeah, it's achievable.
All right, want to keep it at 60?
Yeah, we'll give you an update on our next meeting or our next call.
Well, with the event, we can spread it now downtown. That's what
All right, fabulous. Thank you, New York team. Okay, and the Washington, D.C. team also has a goal of adding 60 new pins to the map by July 31st. So you can see on the map which areas have already been pinned in downtown DC. So that's the image on the left. And then a little more zoomed out, you can see some of the metro areas in Virginia and Maryland included on the map that have been pinned. So there's a good string of stores already pinned in Old Town Alexandria. So I encourage you all, when we hang up the call, to explore the map online a little bit more, and you can zoom in to whatever depth you want to and get a better sense of what areas have or have not been pinned. So if one of you lives near DuPont Circle and there's only a few pins there, you can get a sense of where your team may want to gather to do some pinning. Okay, so I'll pause here and see if we have any questions or comments from our DC team.
I don't think we have any questions. We think it's very achievable.
Okay, fabulous, good. So you want to keep your goal at 60, DC team?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, DC team. And last and certainly not least, we have our Charlottesville team. So Charlottesville is definitely the most densely pinned town on the map, partially because our staff is here that's been involved in the campaign, and in the early formation of this campaign, you know, we did some piloting locally, particularly in the downtown mall. So you can see in the image on the left, the mall is fairly well pinned, but there are definitely areas on the corner and up and down different shopping centers on 29 that have not been pinned. And of course, we also encourage you, anytime you're out and about and traveling or on vacation this summer, you know, we can spread out to Crozet, Richmond, you know, or any other locations where you'll be in the summer. So just to clarify, we will be counting the pins to meet your goal based on the team member activity. So, you know, Annabella, I know you're out on the West Coast right now, so we'll be able to see your pins by individual and be able to measure your pinning that way. So they don't have to be 30 pins in the Charlottesville area. It'll really be 30 teams based on your team. Okay, so I'll pause here and see if we have any questions or comments from our Charlottesville team.
I don't think we have any questions. We're good.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you to all the teams for participating in our Keep It Cool Team Challenge. I'm excited for you all to join our campaign and to encourage businesses in your community to both save energy and save money. And I look forward to hearing about your progress on our next national team meeting in July. And thank you everyone for joining us from wherever you are across the country for our meeting today. And after we end the video conference call, the team leaders will be facilitating the rest of the meeting to plan how your group will meet the Keep It Cool Team Challenge goals for the summer. And then once you finish your Keep It Cool planning, I also encourage your team to check in on progress of your solar schools outreach, and then plan any next steps or actions that will take place, you know, before your next team meeting in a couple of weeks. And then don't forget that recording this webinar will be made available online, and you can go to generation180.org/volunteer to find links to the recordings of all of our past webinars, and then to also register for our next monthly webinar on Sunday, July 8th at 1 p.m. So I'm honored by your commitment to accelerating a cultural shift in energy awareness and clean energy adoption. Thank you all for your time and dedication. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.